So in this video I'm going to make cashew ricotta cheese, and then we're going to turn them into sort of lasagna roll-ups. Lazy way of kind of like getting some lasagna without having to make a whole pan. And recently I had my friend Zara made me a pan of lasagna, so maybe I was craving more of it because it was so good. So in this recipe, what we're going to need is some lasagna noodles. So we've got those cooked. We're going to need cashews. We will also need some lemon juice. If you have fresh lemon juice, that's the best. If you don't, that's fine. We need a bunch of cloves of garlic, however much garlic you can handle. We need some Italian herbs and spices. You need a jar of marinara sauce. And you need some chopped up spinach. And if you have fresh basil, put that in with the chopped up spinach. And then you'll need some nutritional yeast. Don't forget your nutritional yeast. And then if you want to, you can finish off with some panko breadcrumbs. So we're going to get started. We're going to make cashew ricotta cheese first, and then we'll make our lasagna roll-ups. So with your cashews, this recipe came from a blog called Making Time, and it's from their stuffed shells recipe, which Frank usually makes. Hi, Mike. And then, so you take the cashews, and if you soak them the night before, that's best. If you forget to soak them, you can boil them for 10 minutes, and that will soften them up. Or if you have like a super fancy heavy-duty blender, you can probably just throw them in there. So this is just over 1 cup. The recipe is 2 cups, but this is all I had left, so I'm using it. And they're all soaked and ready to go. I'm going to rinse them out. So a lot of vegan cheese products are made with cashews, and it's actually really easy to make at home. We make this recipe every once in a while, but it's a really good one. So I'm going to move you guys down now, so I won't be able to see if you're chatting to me, but I will read them later. Oh, hey Moira. I see you. Okay, so we have our 1 cup of soaked cashews, or if you forgot to soak them overnight, you boil them, and we're going to put them right in this little food processor. So I do have a really nice blender, but I find the container in the blender is like too tall and narrow, and I like this little food processor, so it's just a little KitchenAid. So you've got your cashews, and we're going to put our lemon juice right in there. And I like to put the garlic in now, if I had a spatula. So we're going to put the garlic. So this is 2 cloves of garlic. You can put more if you like, but this is what I'm going with. And like I said, I like putting it in the blender with them so it'll mix around instead of after. So this is going to be loud, but basically we're going to chop them up and blend it up until it becomes like a kind of thicker ricotta texture. So let's see how that goes. So it's really easy because they're soft, so definitely soak your cashews. So you can see it's coming together, but you will have to work with this a little bit and scrape down the edges because you have to, I guess. Hopefully it's not too loud. Oh, we're almost there. So you can see that it's starting to break up really well. It's still a little bit too chunky with the nuts. I was going to say nutty, but that doesn't make sense either. So we're going to keep going. Sorry for the noise. Almost there. So one tip I'll give you as well, if you don't have lemon juice, to make it a little bit tangy, so the lemon juice is trying to give the tang of like a cheese, you can also use apple cider vinegar will give it that same tang. So we're getting the breakdown here, which is nice. And we don't want to add too much moisture because you don't want to doesn't need to be a paste. It's supposed to be like ricotta cheese. So we're making cashew ricotta cheese, and then we're going to make lasagna roll-ups with it. So I'm going to add now the nutritional yeast. And I don't add too much because ricotta cheese, if I remember, is supposed to just be more fresh and tangy. So we're going to keep going. I can see it starting to stick together in there, so, oh yeah, we're awesome. Okay, so let me unplug this and I'll show you guys. So this is the texture you're kind of looking for. So we've got, it's a little bit of a paste, but it's also got some nice chunks in it too. So we're going to reuse our cashew bowl. And we're just going to get this all out into a bowl here without making too much of a mess. Although I guess that's the joy of cooking, is being a little messy. I know there's a few people on that have probably made cashew ricotta, but has anyone never heard of cashew ricotta? Or cashew cheese? That's what a lot of vegan cheese is made out of. The good stuff, anyway. Alright, let's get this out of the way. So now we have our cashew ricotta cheese. So this is kind of the base of it, and because we're having like an Italian recipe, I'm going to put some herbs and stuff like that. So I'm going to put a little bit of dried basil. So even if you have fresh basil that you're putting in with the spinach, you can put some dried stuff in too. And I have a bit of parsley I'm going to put in there. Probably like a teaspoon or more of that. And then, that's it, sorry. So we're going to mix that all up. And then we'll put our spinach. Now, spinach always cooks down a lot, but not when it's raw. So we'll just shake some in and see how it goes. So once again, this is the cashew ricotta. And then I would put some fresh basil in here too. I like lots of greens, so this is very spinachy. You can also use frozen spinach, but just make sure you drain as much of the water out as possible because you don't want this to be too wet. So I am going to try it actually. Let's see. Yeah, that's awesome. So that's really good. Every time I eat it, I'm like, oh my god, it's so good. So it's got the lemon juice, the fresh lemon juice is key. It gives it that tang of like a cheesy tang. And then you have the texture from the cashew. So a lot of, like I said, a lot of vegan cheeses are made from cashew because when you blend it up like that, it goes that sort of white, cheesy flavor. So you can see we made this awesome ricotta cheese in like less than 10 minutes. So you can use this. The original recipe was to put it in giant macaroni shells and cook it down. We're doing lasagna roll-ups. You can put it in real, like a full lasagna. We've just topped, like we've had like leftovers of this and we just made a bowl of pasta with sauce and put it on. So now is the even messier part of making the lasagna roll-ups. So I have a square pan. I'm only making just enough for Frank and I to eat. That's why I have the recipe. But when we make the full recipe, we make a huge pan of stuffed shells, and we even have like extra stuffed shells. And what we do is we stuff them with the cheese and we throw them in the freezer. And then when you're ready to eat them again, you take them out of the freezer and let them defrost and then put the sauce and cook them. So it's a really versatile recipe. I love that. So I'm going to point you guys back down and we'll make these lasagna roll-ups and see how messy it gets. So we have our pan. Even though I'm going to put sauce in the pan, I'm going to throw a little bit of oil because I have bad luck with stuff like sticking to pans. But I'll tell you one of the weirdest things that I noticed going vegan, and if there's anyone else that's vegan on the video, you can tell me if you've also noticed this. But I find that like when I burn stuff to a pan or when I'm cooking stuck on stuff, it actually comes off way easier than it did when I was cooking animal products, so I love that. So we've got just a jar of marinara sauce. This is Newman's Own, but I usually use the PC brand sweet basil marinara sauce because it's like $2 a bottle. This is a little bit more than that. So put a bunch down. And the sauce will help it not stick as well, but you don't need too much. Okay, so these lasagna noodles, we actually bought, I didn't realize we bought oven ready ones, so I cooked them only for a few minutes, and you want them to be soft but still really al dente because you're going to bake them, right? So we've got that. I'm just going to use my hands. I have no shame. And you want, you know, sort of a tiny ball there. And then you roll it up. And I'll tell you something else. If you see, I'm going to put a little bit more in the bottom here. If you see a lot of blogs online, they'll put all the rolls like upright like this because it looks cool in a photo. But what happens is that all the stuff leaks down the bottom. So it's actually better if you put them in the pan like this. So we'll just keep going here. So it's kind of like a golf ball size, I think is good. But you can always add more after. So just gonna keep rolling. But it does, like I said, with the stuffed shells, the cheese, the full recipe of cheese goes a long way. And that again is from a blog called Making Thyme, which is spelled like the herb, like thyme. So you can see it's sticking there pretty good. And I'll look at how messy this is. I'm just using my hands. There's another one. Or you could even put these in cannelloni. I think I said that right. Cannelloni is the pasta, right? Not the dessert. So I got 4 in there. I only have a few more. I'll do one more for you guys. It's always mesmerizing to watch people roll stuff on video. And it kind of doesn't matter how sort of messy it gets, because it's all going to cook together. So there we have, you can imagine that whole pot full. I will be a little bit clean and wash my hands. And then what you would do, you don't have to pour the sauce like covering it, but you want to give each sort of line of rolls enough sauce to, you know, keep it moist. And I like, you know, like all the fancy blogs will show you like one line, a fancy line on top of everything. But I like to cover it all across, so none of the pasta gets sort of overcooked. I'm going to lick my finger. And then we're going to sprinkle some breadcrumbs over top. And then another thing you can do with this, which would bring it like way up in level if you want to be super duper indulgent and a pro, is get some vegan shredded cheese. One that would be really good is the Daya brand. It actually comes in a block, not pre-shredded, and it's called Gouda, smoked Gouda. And then if you shredded that over top of this, the smoked Gouda flavor is so good. If you ever see that Daya, most grocery stores have it, so if you see the Daya smoked Gouda cheese, that is my best recommendation for like sort of a cheaper vegan cheese. It's so good. And so there you have, I think this is like less than 20 minutes of like a cheese product that's vegan and a full amazing looking meal like this. And then so what I would do is just bake this, or lick your finger, but bake it probably like 350, 375, just until it's warmed through. So I think even 20 minutes would probably be good, because everything is cooked already, so you could eat it raw if you wanted to. So what do you guys think of that? I'm not going to taste it raw, even though I usually eat my food at the end of my video, but there's your action shot. Just picture this bro with like a cool filter on Instagram. For sure. Awesome. So that is it, guys. That's another quick one. Thanks again for joining, and thanks to anybody who did my contest the last week. I did announce the winner, and I'll invite you again. Please support me if you haven't already by subscribing on YouTube. My goal is to get to 1,000 followers, and I only have 86, so I have a little bit of a ways to go, but it would really help me out if you could subscribe or ask someone else to subscribe. So that is it for today. I will let you guys go, and please let me know if you try this recipe. You can post a picture and tag me on Facebook or Instagram, or you can post a picture right to my page. It brings me lots of joy when people do that, so that would be great. But that's it. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you got some sun today wherever you are. We had like 50-50 sun and rain, so I hope you guys got some sun and some vitamin D. See you later. Bye.